Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Wings Podcast. This is your host, Milind Agnihotri. On today's show, we will meet Simran Suri, a socio-economic entrepreneur who is currently building her startup venture Kanegi that hopes to offer India's first mindful tools and portable spaces for meditation. She is currently incubated at Raghavan Center for Entrepreneurial Learning, NSRCEL, at IIM Bangalore under its Women Startup Program. An expectant mother, Simran brings her natural strengths of care, nurturance, and grit to every aspect of her work and life. What energizes me the most is helping people cultivate the space between stimulus and response, she says. Welcome, Simran, to this episode of Wings Podcast.
Hello, Milind. Thank you so much for inviting me for the podcast. It's a pleasure and honor, definitely.
Likewise, Simran. In my introduction, I quoted you as saying, what energizes me the most is helping people cultivate the space between stimulus and response. This sounds quite like Zen.
Yes. If I had to choose like one perpetual state that I wanted to be for the rest of my life, it would be being Zen. For me, I think Zen is like just probably being. It's just right now, if I'm talking to you, I'm completely in the process of communicating with you, listening to you, and understanding you. And I think that's what Zen is for me. There is lots that we forget along the way in our daily lives that we need to reconnect with ourselves and talk to ourselves. Our minds are completely occupied by instant gratification. We want things quickly. We want to feel at peace quicker also. I think you will relate to that, how we want everything in our life to be aimlessly, like just scrolling through Instagram reels, getting some information out very quick via Google or anything. And now chat GPT and all that coming in AI, it's going to be much quicker. I think we should allot some time towards connecting with ourselves. And I think that's what I'm vouching for via Carnegie also. When I talk about Carnegie, Carnegie means a soul within you. This idea and the part where I'm building Carnegie is basically a curation of my cultural experiences and the resonance with the Japanese culture, Zen philosophy. And we're trying to build tools that nourish your soul and help you build mindful habits. Now, how are we doing that? Is starting from India, where the practice of meditation, mindfulness, and Zen has originated. We want to inculcate certain kind of Japanese tools and techniques that they have been using in the past and making it simpler and easy and daily in and to incorporate in our daily routine. So let's say like a Japanese tea ceremony, which we can utilize every day. So we are launching such rest shops. We are calling it rest shops, where you can understand the whole process of Japanese tea ceremony. And then we're also launching, which is supposedly India's first meditation Zen pod. It is for corporates, hospitals, offices, and airports, probably. We don't know. And right now we are in a testing phase where we are trying to understand how we can make it more peaceful and in real life. So we have certain kind of elements inside the pod. It's basically like a cubicle, but a Zen cubicle. So yeah, right. That's where we're at with Carnegie. And I mean, over to you. I mean, what do you think about it? Because I would love to get your views on the Japanese Zen philosophy as well, because it's different for everyone.
Great you asked me this question, Simran, because not that I know much of Zen. Just like everybody else, I have had my curiosity, especially at that stage in life where there's this phrase called midlife crisis, right? I mean, I've gone through that, through those nervous 30s and 40s, where you ask a lot of questions about all kinds of things. So it was at that stage I got my first reading of Zen. Not that I understand it much, but all I feel is it's moment to moment, isn't it? Probably that's happening
Yeah,
between us right now as you and I are talking.
correct. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
the
I think,
word that
yeah,
has stayed with me, and I don't know, again, I'm saying I'm kind of kindergarten level understanding of Zen, is just being watchful, just being observant,
definitely.
is what
And I
Zen is
think
to me.
I was just, yeah, that's a really good answer actually. And I mean, I want to include this in this theme is I'm far from practicing these perfectly, like the whole Zen philosophy totally, because I'm not an expert. But I really have found my own way of Zen, and I think I can really tell you that you can create like a space for yourself at your home, probably just even for like listening to music, or like just planting your trees, or some small mini garden for yourself, or even reading a book. It could be any hobby that you do, but in a sacred space consistently every day, and that kind of becomes your peace. I've sort of done that, and it has really really helped me. So I would urge you to try it if
Yeah,
you
I will.
can.
But one of the skills or capabilities which is cherished and desired by many is to be able to multitask, to be able to think 10 different things at the same time and probably act on three or four of them simultaneously. Is this non-Zen in that case?
I mean, multitasking when it comes to work is extremely important at times.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't question the whole philosophy of multitasking and being productive at work and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that you need to dedicate some time for certain things. So let's say
Mm-hmm.
if you have to check your emails during the day. So I would not want you to check it like, 10 times or 20 times a day. Dedicate about half an hour or 1 hour for doing that task,
Mm-hmm.
and you're done. So multitasking happens when you are at home and you're checking your email, and that's not right. Or you're checking your Facebook, or you're checking your Instagram. I think when you're back from work, you have to keep your work aside and just finish it off. I'm not talking about like cooking and then probably talking to somebody on phone. That's also
Mm-hmm.
fine because you're trying to like make use of your time. That's okay. What I'm trying to say is just dedicate one like 15 minutes of your day, one space and one kind of time that you're just you and nothing else.
So at Carnegie, that means you are building some tools and some curated spaces, as you said, for being mindful, or build those practices for being mindful. How did this idea or the need for creating a venture around this happen to you? And what is this women startup program at IIM Bangalore that you are now being incubated at? And how did that happen to you?
So Carnegie, actually, the idea was born in 2019 when I was in London, and I was doing my master's, and somehow I was very connected to the thought of just meditation and how the well-being industry is functioning and all of that. I was playing around with multiple ideas, and my master's thesis was about the whole market, the well-being market, and how mental health plays a role in this economy where there's so much stress at work and all of that. So I did a very comprehensive research, and my professors really helped me into it. I, interviewed a lot of companies in US, UK, even all these big giants like Calm, Headspace. I interviewed people like those, and I realized that, of course, we're building apps and we're doing a lot of other things, but the core value of, being in present and being more sensitive towards the consumer is sort of missing. So that's where, Kanegi was like started, and, I started researching about it. This was in 2019. And then COVID hit, and, things just changed. And eventually I ended up starting it in 2022. So it took me a long time to get that preliminary research. But one of the things that happened to me was IIM Bangalore. Honestly, this WSP program is something which is for women who have a certain kind of idea and they want to take it to the next level. And I was at that stage itself, and the forms released, and I filled the forms and eventually got on board with them. There were about 10,000 applicants, and this is when I had just the idea. We had not even like built the company, not even private limited, nothing, just the idea. And eventually the forms were filled, and I could just, get through all the courses. They helped me with how and what kind of market penetration is needed, or what is product market fit, and all of that. Then we got pre-incubated. Pre-incubation is for 3 months. Right now, we have finished the pre-incubation term, where they've taught us how to go to the next level and how to build the MVP, the product. And we have been very, very proud to say that we have achieved a lot of success in terms of getting our first initial, MVP released for the rest shops, and then even about like the MVP that we are trying to build. So the first stage is crossed, but we are very far from, getting ahead with the product development because of my pregnancy. We have delayed by a lot. But there are a few customers who are very excited about the product, and also we do have promises of investment from companies, and that sounds really good and exciting right now. And all that happened because of IIM's mentorship and this program. So the whole process was quite difficult, being a female, plus like doing it all alone. I did have support from three other females who are my team members, but still a lot of admin work was super tough. It took about 1 month for the bank account to release and come into existence. So such things have been a task for me, because it's a private limited company, and you know how it goes. GST sorted and all of that. But yeah, I'm happy to say that we have sorted all of that now.
First of all, congratulations to you to have not only conceptualized something which is very dear to you, trying to build an offering around it to probably help people live more meaningfully, more attentively, if I can use that phrase, through your Kanegi venture. But tell me, Simran, I mean, things like Raghavan Center for Entrepreneurial Learning, which has been set up by Mr. Raghavan, I know, one of the founders of Infosys. IIM Bangalore, another huge, big, respectful brand, and an initiative called the Women Startup Program that they have conceptualized under its umbrella. I mean, the promise seems to be grand, to probably help young women entrepreneurs to convert their ideas and passion into tangible product and services, and probably create a venture around it. That's the promise. But on the other side, there are young women like you who go there with the hope of being held, supported, nurtured, etc. Well, that's on paper, and you've gone through that process. So, love to hear from you, Simran. What are those one or two things that this pre-incubation program, or being incubated at IIM Bangalore, has offered you in tangible terms, which otherwise you would not have got?
it's a very prestigious university, as you know, and the whole idea behind joining this cohort and meeting people was that I wanted to understand how to run a business. Of course, I've run businesses in past, but this was different because this is something that I want to do very dearly, and I want to be successful at it. Even if it is going to take like 10 years or 15 years, does not matter. So doing things right is what IIM taught me. Tangibly, I think the learning, the humongous learning exposure, we have also been to like IIM Bangalore's campus and meeting professors, meeting like-minded individuals. I think that's really tangible aspect of it. Plus, moreover, like we get access to a lot of services like we've got few applications like Canva and a lot of API tools that we can use via NSRCEL that they give it out for free, and that's something. Even this whole the experience of it is free of cost. You just have to apply. You have to do your best, and you do get everything out of it. There's also an investment aspect of it, which comes in when, as in when you go into the, incubation phase. So that will come for me now, and that's also like the biggest tangible thing that I would receive from this cohort. Another thing that happened was. I would like to mention the professor's name. His name is Professor Sunil Handa. I think you might know him. He is also a professor at IIM Ahmedabad, the principal and the head of Eklavya School Ahmedabad, which is one of the best schools in India so far. And his mentoring session one on one with me was an eye opener, a game changer, and such unique, diverse professors and courses where you talk about diversity, inclusion. I mean, who teaches you that? In terms of the company culture that's going on right now, we need this kind of courses while studying. It was like a short MBA course, if I can say that, and it's just amazing this whole process.
Any aha moments with Professor Handa?
Yes. So it was more like he drilled me, and I think it was very important because I he wanted me to understand what my product was exactly. The aha moment was that he really gave me an idea on how to use my pregnancy and this whole process as a new product idea for Kanegi. So he suggested me to start another rest shop, which is for mothers' well-being. So that's something that we are working on. Like, so there's Garb Sanskar for pregnancy, if you know about that.
Yes, yes.
So he suggested, yeah, so he suggested me to just involve like mindfulness and because new age term mindfulness with like Garb Sanskar and make a course out of it and put it on the website. So I think this idea was amazing from him, and yeah, I mean we are working on it.
Must have been one of those Zen moments between the two of you, which probably created this concept of a Garb Sanskar pod, if I can use that phrase. But Simran,
Yes.
I don't know, how does that sound? Garb Sanskar pod.
I mean, it sounds great. I think you've given me a good name for it because we would want to do that for hospitals, and for mothers especially, because it's a tough period for women.
Of
So
course.
it's a great name actually. Thank you for
Uh,
that.
of course, of course. You said a little while ago that you have been in business before Carnegie. Was that
Yeah.
some kind of other entrepreneurial ventures that you were a part of or you started?
Yes, so when I was 21, I started Go for Chai with other two people, females, and this was in Nagpur, where we launched like a chai tech startup. We got a government funding, and I was just 21, so I took the leap of faith, and I was just working on it for about a year. We sold about 3 crores chai cups in Nagpur itself, and within a year, we were in like Pune, Bangalore, and even Nagpur. companies like TCS, Infosys, Infoseps, even Inox, pan India level, we had got like, the contracts for building like chai kiosks and subscriptions of chai. So it was quite a big deal for me being 21 and being able to do that. But then I took a leap again because I wanted to study further and I moved to London. So I took an exit in 2018. So that was my first startup. And then second stint was right after my university, Goldsmiths University of London. I got placed in a company called Keys Community Limited in the UK. And the CEO of the company liked my consulting so much that he offered me equity, and I was a partner there where I was trying to help them with like marketing and raising funds and all of that. It was basically a SaaS company where we are trying to help residents build community and have like electric bikes near their residences, and helping the local community like laundry and on-demand services in like within the app. So that's something that I did. But again, due to some kind of personal commitments of the CEO, the company was shut down during COVID. But nevertheless, I mean, that was the second stint that was closed, and whatever happens happens for good is what I've understood. And soon after that, I got married. I took like 1 year off, and then I started Carnegie, I would say.
So this is your third startup experience in how many years?
Oh, okay, interesting question. 2018, 19, 20. I think 6 years. Yeah,
So
six
three
years, 6, 7 years.
three shots or three stints of either being a part of a startup or creating your own in 6 years. That's
Yeah.
one hell of a credential, which makes me wonder, Simran, what is it about Simran that Simran gets drawn to such adventures?
Very interesting question, Milind, because I asked myself the same question 1,000 times. Because it's so strange that I get pulled to these things so much, because I've done jobs, like I've worked for companies, and I've I've done that kind of stuff also. But I eventually always want to start my own company. I think entrepreneurship and being like independent on my own is something that draws me, and like I'm very passionate about.
Is it in the family?
Yes, definitely. My father has started again at 40, and I've seen him do rebuild his career at 40. Now he's super successful, but then I saw him do it. And my mother, she also like, is very, very passionate about entrepreneurship. She had a small business when we were kids. And I think it all comes from there, because she's extremely passionate about whatever she does. So I definitely think it comes from them, both of them.
So, in your growing years, what was the atmosphere at home? What is it that you saw and observed in your parents that you got drawn to this world of curiosity and adventure? What was growing up? What
Um,
was growing up like for Simran?
First of all, it was too hybrid because I've stayed in six cities and two countries, I would say. So I mean, the growing up happened pretty soon for me. At the age of 13, we had to like incur a very huge loss, my dad especially, and we had to move cities. I was in a very different school to what I was. I changed like three, four schools, and but then I was so fortunate enough that my parents always dedicated their time and efforts into educating us, and making us good human beings rather than anything else. So I've seen that, and they've always been so curious about things. Like they wanted to know more about spirituality. They were having that kind of aspect. My family is extremely spiritual, and then there comes where they wanted to build their career, and my dad was into his business a lot. So Growing up has been quite like adulting first and then being emotional second. So it was a mix of being practical and also being extremely emotional. So Simran is a highly sensitive, but quite driven girl, I would say.
So head first or heart first?
Heart first, up ho gaya hai, but I think it used to always be head first and then heart second. But now things are changing
I can
as
fully
I'm growing up.
understand. I can fully understand and resonate much of with what you have said. But which are the places that you have seen and grown up in India?
So I was in Hyderabad for 13, 14 years. And then I was in Aurangabad for about 5 years. And then I was in Pune. Now I'm in Pune as well. I mean, and in between I was in Nagpur and London. Yeah, so those are also the cities that I was there.
Simran, for many, the desire for certainty becomes a great motivation, or the experience of certainty or wanting to experience certainty becomes a great motivation to do what they do in life. Whereas I feel for some others, and I include myself in that, is comfort with uncertainty also becomes a great resource to figure out what one wants to do going ahead. I wonder which of these two resonates with you.
Hmm. This is definitely something I have been thinking of very recently because I'm in that phase of womanhood where things are not looking certain, honestly, I would say, because I feel life is full of uncertainty for women. I would say women right now because um, it's different for a man than for a woman because biologically she has to go through a lot of changes, and then again, society throws at her lot of roles that she has to play. She has to be a wife, she has to be a mother, and she has to also be a daughter, sister, even a friend, girlfriend. And the roles keep on changing. She has to be a woman also, and being a woman comes with that notion of being someone all the time, being perfect. And right now we have added so many responsibilities to ourselves. Previously, it was just like being a housemaker or being like somebody who's taking care of the kids. But now it is, you want to build your career and you want to be perfect at that. And definitely we're surrounded by like phenomenal women, productive women. People are so ambitious and loving women, but these women are also stressed women, anxious women, and self-critical women. Um, and I mean, this whole tiredness of juggling it all, and like making your house seem spotless, and your, giving your kids home cooked meals and all of that. I feel like how we've denied ourselves rest until we feel like we've earned it, only to feel lazy when we actually allow ourselves to slow down. Okay, let me just hear me out. I realized that I didn't know that a woman who lets herself relax without guilt is even found. Not a single one. My mother will always feel guilty of the fact that she's resting. So, over the last few months, role modeling and what it means to be a relaxed Zen woman has been my practice. And this is where, the uncertainty part is also like, one kind of thing where I'm accepting and I'm saying that I'm still working on it. But the intention of becoming a relaxed woman has definitely changed my life. And I think I'm going to focus on that. Definitely.
Super. Simran, in one of our earlier podcast episode, we had a wonderful girl by the name Lilisha Fudd, who lives in Mumbai and is a painter. She spoke something very beautiful with me about the subject of her paintings. I mean, she draws large paintings, 3 feet by 4 feet, 4 feet by 6 feet, even 6 feet by 8 feet. And currently, her topic of her painting, or the subject of her painting, is invariably the today's woman, what she is undergoing. And she's probably the same age as yours. She talks about the woman of today who has to carry the burden of various role expectations, as you alluded to a little while ago. What people around her and the society around her, what they want her to be, and the woman that she wants to be herself, and the push and pull that happens between the two. That invariably is the subject of her paintings. How do you look at this subject from a personal association?
Yeah. So I've got like, a lot of time to reflect on these things because I'm myself figuring it out, as I told you earlier, that I want to live guilt-free and I want to be a relaxed woman. Not somebody who's constantly thinking about I didn't do this or I didn't do that, and I'm not focusing a lot on my startup, or I'm not doing this for my baby, or I'm not doing this for my husband, etc., etc. So I think I can totally relate to what she would have been thinking about and how she is expressing it through her art. Because art, you can really, say it out loud that, you as a female, you have to play a lot of responsibilities. And matlab, as simple as, um how and where ghar ki channi is placed, to now like how your company's P&L is looking like, or let's say your kid is performing at school. These three things are so different, but it is handled by one single person. I mean, of course she does have support a lot of times, but it's tough because then where is it that she would want to do that? Let's say if I want to probably write something, I do not get that bandwidth to be able to do that. I always have so many things in my mind that I always push these things behind me, that what does Simran as Simran wants. It's always going to be what Simran as a wife or Simran as a mother would want to do. And so this is something that as women we need to think again. Feminism hai, but what about this part of you? You need to also focus on you. So yeah, I mean, I definitely resonate with her thoughts. And
As a man, I can only respond by saying, Simran, that if the women or the woman of the house is not in her elements, not only the man collapses, but the house also collapses. And this is such an underappreciated, such an underappreciated value that women bring to the world. Let me switch gears, and I'm actually tempted to ask you something which, as a notion, I hold very dear to me. That somehow I feel that motherhood, which is the phase in life where you you conceive and you're carrying the child through the pregnancy term, and of course giving birth to the child, and uh, the formative years of the child, the first 2 or 3 years before he or she is able to learn a few things by themselves, requires a fair bit of care, nurturance, grit, determination, conviction, commitment, all kinds of adjectives I can use here. I feel that this aspect of motherhood is quite similar to what happens to an entrepreneur in the early stage of his or her venture.
totally, I think motherhood and entrepreneurship, they both are very similar because I was nurturing a baby that is Kanegi, and now I'm nurturing a second baby that is of my own. Um, and like it's quite a roller coaster because you're overwhelmed and you don't know anything that's going to happen. Even in startup, you don't know. It's so uncertain what might go wrong and what might not, and you're putting in your best efforts to be able to give your best. And be good at your products and give the best service to your customers. So I think now being a to be mom, it has been a greatest asset in understanding how to grow as an entrepreneur also. It has taught me to have grace for myself, and how to be compassionate and actually see beauty in all the lessons that life has to offer, especially the hard ones, because challenges are going to come. And I've sort of accepted the truth that probably for 1, 2 months or 3 months, I absolutely won't be able to work. And I need to figure some stuff out, like, a lot tasks, or probably just delay some stuff and prepare the company for, what might go wrong in the next 3 months. So it's like being prepared, plus multitasking for for days. I mean, I'm contradicting myself here, but I will have to multitask when it comes to the baby and the company, because when the baby arrives, just 3, 4 months of break and I have to get back to the company. So that's when, like, I think I'm looking myself at working quite a lot. um, I want to, of course, be more focused on myself also, and be a relaxed woman, as I said. So I'm going to make sure that this entrepreneurship is going to be a bit guilt free, and even if it is going to be smaller steps, but I wish to, take that leap of faith in my entrepreneurship career. And there are a lot of similarities between motherhood and entrepreneurship that I wish to achieve. Like, learning parenting is one of them, and learning product market fit was one of them. IIM is going to support me, and they're going to help me out with a lot of this stuff. And they've promised me that, and they've been so supportive. They know about me being a mother, and it has been so beautiful, that thing also. So I do have, certain kind of pointers to look at when it comes to entrepreneurship. I'm kind of following that and relying on my family support also. My father-in-law is quite a lot helping me with the manufacturing aspect of things, and let me tell you, that's a big support. So I'm blessed and privileged to have family supporting me. My dad is supporting me in something else. Right now, given that I'm pregnant, right? So this is the kind of support that a woman requires when she is pregnant and she's an entrepreneur. So I think I'm just gonna say that out loud, that you need to ask for help and you will get help if you need it.
Looks like, Simran, you're setting yourself up for many, many Kanegi moments to come.
Yes, definitely. And I'm looking forward to them with the baby.
Absolutely. And all I can say as we come to the end of this conversation, Simran, that I don't know, maybe Pyar say you might want to call your kid Kanegi whenever he or she is born.
I did discuss this with my husband. If it's a girl, it's going to be Kanegi. So yeah, that is definitely something we thought of.
This has been such a beautiful conversation, and a lot for me to think about and ruminate as a man about understanding and appreciating women and womanhood, and what they mean, not just to themselves, but to the whole world. And I really love the way you said it, that at the end of the day, it's important that we grace this beautiful aspect of human existence, of womanhood, with love and compassion and respect. So, on that note, Simran, I've enjoyed every moment of this conversation. I wish you good luck with everything that you touch going ahead. And I hope to experience in real life one of those rest pods of yours to sit and experience my own Kanegi moments. So, on this note, let me ask you, how has this conversation been for you?
I mean, likewise, first of all, it has been Such a great conversation and very thought provoking because it made me think about a lot of things. Even before the conversation, I was quite trying to understand that what will I be telling here, but the flow was just flawless, and I loved the way you have asked questions, and it was more like a discussion between us, and loved it.
Thank you. Wish you good luck and take care. Thank you for your time today, my dear listeners. This is your host, Milind Agnihotri, signing off. Goodbye, take care, and stay safe. This podcast is for general information purposes only and should not be considered as a piece of any professional advice. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of its guest. Creators of this podcast expressly disclaim any and all liability or responsibility for any direct or indirect, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of this podcast. For feedback and suggestions, please write to wingsindia75 at gmail.com. Thank you.